Have you ever wondered to yourself why strangers will support you faster than people who have known you forever, or why strangers will support you faster than sometimes even your own family? If that's you, then stay for this message. Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Koss, and today we're going to talk about not being accepted in your own town or by your own family, and we're going to use this from the Bible. It's actually a marketing secret, and we're going to discover how it is a marketing secret. So I'm going to read the passage. It's Mark chapter 6, and the verses are 4-6. I'm going to read it through the Message Bible. It says, Jesus told them a prophet has little honor in his own hometown. Among his relatives on the streets, he played in as a child. Jesus wasn't able to do much of anything there. He laid hands on a few sick people and healed them. That's all. He couldn't get over the stubbornness. He left and made a circuit of the other villages teaching. It really just says the prophet is without honor in his own town, his own country, which means sometimes the people who know you the most won't always be the people who support you the most. And we cannot get mad at that. The reason why I say that is if we live in this bubble of thinking that all of our supporters have to come from people who know us, we'll become greatly discouraged and we'll probably not even do the things that we should do. With this passage, I learned this as a marketing secret, along with the secret of Jesus always knew the crowd that he was going to do his most work in and with, right? He talks a lot right here about there was only a few things he could do in his hometown because he was common to them. And usually with marketing, sometimes we think our friends and our family should buy from us because they know us, but we're too common to them. This is something where you see where you're common to them. You can go to a different state, a different town, and they love what you offer. It's because you're not common to them. I often say, imagine the people who lived around Martin Luther King, who lived around Malcolm X, people who lived around Jim Rohn. They probably were like, oh, that's just Jim, that's just Martin, that's just Malcolm. We need to understand that. Now, because he wasn't accepted as much in his own hometown, it leads us to the point and to the next first principle, which is your target audience or your clients might just be the next town over. They might just be the next state over. Just because it's not working with where you're at and who's familiar with you doesn't mean that it's not going to work somewhere else. Relocating, if you have a brick and mortar, that can be something to consider for marketing. Or if you're doing online marketing, putting it in a different platform or a different state. You don't want to get caught up in thinking that I need to only do what I do where I'm at. That's the beauty of digital marketing or online marketing, where you can go to any state, any country with the click of a button. But one of the main things I want to point out to you in this one is he did try, and it was them that wasn't accepting him, so he didn't take it personal. When he eventually went to the next towns and things like that, he was able to flow, do the work that he needed to do. People were actually accepting what he offered. Something that is strange at first is he didn't preach to every single state, every single country, every single town. And the reason for that is he talks about, I was called to the lost sheep of Israel first, and this is where my work is going to be right now. When you are marketing, you want to think about how can I hone in on where my biggest, let's say this, where my biggest effect is going to be. Usually when we market, we like to just spread 80,000 different places. I always say if your audience isn't on TikTok, you don't have to be on TikTok. If your audience isn't on Instagram, don't be on Instagram. What's the guy's name? I might mess it up and I charge it to my mind, not my heart. I believe his name is Darren Schreier. He wrote the book Marketing Like Jesus, and he says some businesses don't even need Instagram and they're doing well. You want to go where you're going to have the biggest effect. And that comes from knowing the audience, finding out their things that they struggle with, their pain points, all of that. He did eventually tell the disciples when he passed away to go into all those other countries, eventually go into all the world and preach the gospel. The thing that we learn with this is, don't take it personal when people around you are not rocking with you always when you're doing bigger things. The reason for that is because sometimes they can be intimidated because you're doing something and having the same tools that they have, or they could be intimidated because now you are doing something and it forces them to step up, or they can just be haters, and we've just found out by our success. Don't take it personal. Number 2, go to where your biggest effect will be. Find that out. I put a video out recently that talked about you could be having the right call to action to the wrong person. You need to find out who that goes to. And the last one to wrap up this short message, or this short episode for today, is when the time is right, then start to just expand and then start to go out into other platforms, other towns and things like that. You're better off finding out your target audience, channeling them, and then after that, going hard in that lane, going hard with those people, the people who are receiving what you have to offer, the people who are willing to pay what you offer. Jesus didn't get paid, but in our sense, the people who are willing to pay what you offer, if you're a business, if you're an organization, the people who are receiving, who are receptive. You're better off going that way than just going to spread this message to the masses and no one comes and no one buys. Take those tips. Let me know how you feel about it and how you feel about marketing secrets from the Bible. Get unstuck, guys. Go be great.